Moving to support your position.
Welcome back to What Arty Noobs with General Disturbance. This is the SU-122A. It's a Tier 5 Soviet SPG. It's located on the northeast spawn of Glacier, and it's under the command of Citron01. And we're now featuring 3 battles concerning Citron01. I think you'll enjoy some of them. Let's see how they get on. Game started. Well, the SU-122A never really existed. It's basically a design was really put together based on the SU-76M, the tank destroyer, but the actual SU-122 looked more like the SU-85, but well, they produced it, but it was so cramped the crews really couldn't operate in it effectively. It was also a short barrel weapon, which meant that it didn't have the same accuracy as some of the other tank destroyers and self-propelled guns. Rounds out. Long flight time. He got it near, but not quite close enough. Now the thing about the SU-122A in the game is that it takes forever to aim in. It's got a very narrow arc of fire and quite a long reload time as well. And so if you've got the 152mm gun, you need that gun to get the damage, then you may find the number of shells you actually manage to get out is very, very limited. If we look at the alpha, you can see it's 600 alpha, 152mm howitzer, 38mm of penetration and 7 meters burst radius. The reload time that Citron01's managed to get is 26.08 seconds, but the actual reload time without the rammer and the premium consumables is close to 30 seconds. Okay, you can see that there's a KV-1 trying to creep up onto the carrier. Well, he didn't last very long because he just got duped by the SU-152 rather, and then got hit immediately afterwards by Jagdpanzer 4. So he's out the game. T-67 was standing still to take a shot. Oh, lovely shot there by Citron01. 269 hit points, 2 critical hits, and he's picked up some stun assist afterwards as well. And the T-67 was taken out by our 25TP. Now, the SU-122A is a very difficult Arty to play, but Citron01 has managed to get his second mark of excellence already, and he's doing well. In fact, this is the first Arty that I marked when I started playing Arty, and I felt I kept playing it long enough, I started to get accurate, get good hits on the enemy. It is difficult to play, it takes hours and hours of work to actually get it, but when you do get it, then it starts being quite effective. You can see there, he didn't have the power to climb that slope. It is basically, you know, the same as the SU-76M. It doesn't have a lot of power. I mean, the Russians used to, or the Soviets used to call the SU-76M Suka or bitch, because it was so terrible. Such an awful vehicle. It was 2 inline engines sitting right next door to the driver, incredibly loud. Poor driver was sitting there. He was either freezing cold because he had an open hatch to see where he was going, or he was burning up because of the heat that was generated by the engines that were sitting right next door to him. It also had terrible engineering in terms of the gearbox and everything like that. It was very difficult to drive, and that's why the drivers were constantly cursing their machine and calling it bitch, and well, that kind of stuck. He's got 2 targets. He can either go for the Dicamax or the Stuhr Mill. I think he's decided Dicamax is an easier hit. Rounds out, looks good. It landed nearby, but it wasn't on the Dicamax. I suspect he did a few hit points of damage, but because the Dicamax went unspotted, we've no idea exactly how much. Now, it used to be that if you went up the Soviet line of Arty, you worked your way up from Tier 2 with the SU-18, you got to the SU-26 at Tier 3, and, well, it started getting a little more fun when you got to the SU-5 at Tier 4, because that's the first time you had a 152mm howitzer, even though it's a mortar, to play with, and that's when you can get really big hits on the enemy. And of course the trajectory of that Arty was so good. The SU-122A is a bit of a setback really compared to those Arty and compared to the SU-5. But as I said, this Arty didn't actually exist in real life. The SU-122 did, but not the SU-122A. Now, we have actually contacted Wargaming several times and suggested that maybe they ought to bring the SU-122 into the game as a premium Soviet Arty, make it very similar to the SU-85 and just fit the 122mm howitzer on it and make it a premium Arty. They did actually exist. But of course Wargaming is very reluctant to bring any premium Arty into the game, which is a bit silly really, because they're missing out the opportunity to sell thousands if not hundreds of thousands of these Artys to people who just want to get a premium vehicle. I mean, there's a lot of collectors out there who just collect vehicles. They don't necessarily play them, but they want every premium that Wargaming puts out. On top of that, there's a lot of people who want the vehicles so that they would actually be able to train crews in it. At the moment, if you want to train a crew for an Arty, you either have to train them up in another vehicle and then move them into the Arty and retrain them to the Arty, or alternatively, you have to start from scratch in that Arty and work your way up slowly. Okay, we've got an enemy tank coming round the outside, Striv M42 with virtually no health, but you can see Citron01 likes that Thunderbolt there. I think he wants that one. He's dialing in. Moves the rescue over because he's just stopped to shoot. See if you can get the shell in. Rounds out. This looks good. Oh, it goes long. It was fully dialed in, but I'm afraid it went long and the Thunderbolt escaped unharmed. As far as the game's going at the moment, we conquered the northwest corner of the map, and the enemy basically occupies everything in the south of the map. Citron01 could, if he so wished, actually relocate much further over to the west, which would probably be the smart move, because at the moment the only tank that's between him and the enemy on the east side of the map is an LTG. There's the Thunderbolt again. He lines up his shot, the Thunderbolt changes course, and all he does is stun him. Oh, much better shot by the M44, but of course the M44 is tier 6, and he says thank you for taking out the Thunderbolt. Yes, the M44 is streets ahead of the SU-122A. It takes a lot of practice to get damage with the SU-122A, but as I say, it's very satisfying when you get your first mark and second mark, and it's probably the first tank you will first mark and second mark if you practice on them even just a little, because not many people play this Arty. They try and skip over it and get to the SU-8 as quickly as they can, which is more like the M44 in its abilities.
Moving to support you.
Okay, he's just saying he's going to aid the LTG, but he doesn't need any help. He takes out the strip with one shot. Now, if you don't already know, because we have actually mentioned it in previous videos, we've opened a channel on Rumble. And you can actually watch these videos on Rumble before they actually appear on YouTube. And the reason why we've opened two channels is for security's sake, because obviously, as you may know, or I don't know if you do know, but there is an antitrust action going on against YouTube at this moment.
Moving in to support you.
And Google themselves are subject to an antitrust violation from the American government, or the US government, which is actually going at them because they have effectively bundled their software. Oh, beautiful shot on the steering wheel. Took him out completely. Direct hit wipes him out. Yes, the Google have actually bundled their software and their operating system on many phones, mobile phones, and that's the part of the legal action that the American government has brought against them, based on the fact that they're effectively putting their search engine as the priority. The Dickomax has now gone down. That was a blind hit. He knew that Dickomax was there. He didn't realise that he was so weak that one shot would take him out. So I think that's a surprise kill. But the second kill for Citron. There's only 3 enemy tanks left now. They're VK3002D, their Hummel, and a Fifi, the 105 FH18B2. So we started the channel on Rumble to ensure that any videos we uploaded would be safe and secure, and that you would be able to watch them regardless of if any server was taken down or if any channel was taken down. And as you know, recently I would say a provider or platform was taken down, and it was taken down by the malicious actions of AWS. I say malicious, but their contract does allow them to take down somebody who uses their platform, but they went against the contract terms in doing what they did, and therefore if they can take down channels just like that, then your videos are under threat. Now, I'm not saying that YouTube would close down, but if they do lose their antitrust action, and they are being sued for billions, then it could be rather difficult for them to keep their servers open if all of a sudden they're having to pay out a fortune to somebody else. So what we've done is we've ensured that there is a channel on YouTube and a channel on Rumble, and that way the videos are protected. Now, you may not know, but a lot of content providers like Jingles and Quickie Baby and Co have thousands of videos. Not quite as many as we do. In fact, we have more videos than Jingles and Quickie Baby put together. But we store these videos to ensure that there's no way that the video itself will be lost. The raw file is still kept by us and can be uploaded, but it takes an awful lot of time to upload that many videos, thousands and thousands. In fact, we're just under 7,000 videos now, and I think Jingles and Quickie Baby between them is something like about 4,000 or 5,000 videos. I haven't checked how many Jingles has got recently, because he did have to take down rather a number, because obviously there was music copyright violations. Well, not really violations as such, it's just that he used music in the past and on his videos, and he did them very well, but then people came in and said, we're going to have copyright strikes against you unless you give us all your money. And there goes the Hummel, which means now the only one left is the Fifi. And of course, what Jingles had to do was he had to take down a huge number of really good videos that he put together. And sadly, they were lost until he can actually re-engineer them to take out the bits of music and use music that he's got properly licensed. Oh, what a fantastic shot to win the game from Citron. He nuked that Fifi from a very long way away, from one side of the battlefield to the other. A perfect shot. So that's the end of the first battle. Let's have a look at the second one. And here's the second battle, and this time round it's in the Tier 6 French SPG, the AMX 13F3AM, And he's on the northeast spawn of Highway. And, well, he's already got 3 marks of excellence on the barrel of this one. And I think we featured that battle on our channel. Game on. Now you can see he's had 3 ace tankers on this vehicle already in recent history, because he's got the marks of distinction right on the front of the vehicle. It's based on the AMX 13-ton tank, this Arty, and the French actually produced quite a lot of them and sold them, exported them to quite a few nations. It's very successful, Arty, because it's very, very light. So it can be moved about by air if necessary. And remember, it's a 155mm howitzer. Now you notice how he did that. He actually held down his right-hand mouse button, so he held the aim on a specific spot and then had a quick look around to see if there was any other targets that he could aim at. Now the spot he's actually aiming at the moment is those set of bushes next to that building where some light tanks go to hide and spot. But an enemy Barrask has been spotted over in the northwest corner of the map. Oh, he got a bit of reticule bloom there. He's near the edge of his field of fire. He's lining up a shot on the Barrask. Gets it right. Fires the round in. Oh, now he aimed short, but it went long. But he still managed to damage that Barrask for 258 hit points. That was a good shot. Not what I expected would happen. I thought the shell would land short and he'd get absolutely nothing out of it. But he did. He got a nice hit. And the Barrask has decided that he needs to move through that yard to see if he can spot any of our forces. In fact, I think he's intimidated by the fact there's a Super Hellcat and the P-43 Tur up in the tree line. And if he'd stayed where he was probably going to get assaulted by both of them. Now this is a tier 8 game with tier 6 tanks in it. And another really good shot on the Progetto, 255 hit points. Difficult to hit tanks that hide behind that building. And there was a tank in those bushes. There was a Skoda T25, so he was right to aim there originally. The Barrask just took a hammering. He's lost virtually all his hit points and now he's out the game. Kill shot came in from a T43. Rounds out. Oh, perfect shot. That one hit the cockpit of the Hellcat, blew the thing to pieces. I think that was a penetrating round. The alpha damage on this gun is 700 alpha. It penetrates 39mm of armor and it's got a burst radius of 8 meters. I think that shell landed right in the cockpit of the Hellcat and he didn't stand a chance. It was wiped out completely. Easy kill, that one. Well, easy. Very difficult to do that on a regular basis, but then Citron does have a lot of experience with this Arty, so it's not surprising that he did it when you got 3 marks of excellence on your barrel. He's now aiming for that Chiri. He's almost loaded. The normal load time is 30.58 seconds. He's got it down to 25.77. Lining it up, rounds out. This looks good. It lands just behind the Chiri for 114. Yeah, we're not doing so well on the battle overall. I mean, although Citron's got 1 kill, the fact of the matter is that the team is now down by 4 tanks. And most of the tanks that have been killed are the ones that went over to the west side of the map in that area. So, yeah, we're not doing so well. Got a KV-2 in the town. Fairly slow, slumbering tier 6 Soviet dirt machine. The Strunk tank, as Jingles calls it. I checked the figures, by the way, to have a look and see what the number of videos put out by the other channels, and Jingles has actually put out 2,738 videos so far, and QB 1,532, so combined that's 4,270 videos together. And what Arty Noobs has put out 6,802 videos so far. Maybe not as high quality as Jingles and QB, maybe not as popular as Jingles and QB, but at least a lot of people have been satisfied that they've seen their replays on YouTube and it's there and they can show it to anyone whenever they like, even if they have to put up with a terrible commentator like myself. Yeah, pretty dreadful, not that good. Okay, A44 trying to sneak round. Gets stunned. The Bisonte comes around the corner. And he's going to unload into that guy. So I don't think he's going to last long. No, he's gone.
I appreciate it.
And he says thank you to the Bisonte because he gets the stun assist off that. So he's got 1.3k of damage and 554 of stun assist so far. Who's the next victim? Well, it looks like it's going to be this KV-13. A very underplayed Soviet medium. Which actually does have some rather good dirt guns on that vehicle. Now, one of the good things about the AMX 13F3 is the fact that it is fairly fast. Based on a light tank, it's capable of doing 60 kilometers an hour. And that means it can relocate from one side of the battlefield to the other side fairly quickly. In fact, we've had quite a few battles where AMX 13F3s have actually won the game for their teammates merely by relocating from one side of the map to the other. And if you've seen it, you probably did. Good shot on that Udez. He splashed him underneath the bridge. Yes, if you, in recent history, I actually put up a video with the AMX 13F3 and I actually positioned myself over the other side of the battlefield. I was spawned on the southwest spawn of Highway. I drove all the way over to the enemy cap area, sat in the cap. An enemy Barras tried to come back and reset the cap, and I shotgunned him right in the turret when he came around the corner. And I capped out a split second later, and he lost the game, and I won it for my team. So you can see the AMX 13F3 can win a game for his team, even by just relocating to the other side of the map. Now we're looking for the last few enemy tanks in the town. They've got a Striv 74 in there and a Bisonte. He's trying to tell the T29 that I'm supporting you. There goes the Striv. Oh, and the Striv just hit the T29 as he went past the drive-by. Okay, we're going to try and line up a shot on the Striv. If Striv comes around that corner, rounds out. Here we go. Oh, and it hits the building instead of the Striv. And we lose the T29. Oh, he's not going to be a happy bunny. And the enemy's now getting more tanks going into the town. In fact, they've got all three of their remaining tanks in the town. Their Arty is still up in their cap area. And that means our Scorpion G and AT8 are actually making their way towards the enemy cap. Whilst their enemy tanks are now trying to push wrecks in the town. And yes, you heard that round. Hit a wreck and go twang. They do that in this game. And it makes me believe that the enemy is headed towards this cap, and maybe Citron needs to relocate quick and get the flock out of here before they turn up, because he's probably not going to get much of a warning because the T-43 is over the ridgeline on the other side of the battlefield. Instead, Citron's decided he's going to sit here in this bush, hiding from the enemy, waiting for them to turn up. He'll probably only get one shot off, and then he'll probably get wiped out the next moment later. Unless, of course, he kills the enemy tank.
Moving to support you.
He's trying to help the T-43. I just saw a tree go down over there. And he's marked the ground where he saw the tree go down to let the T-43 know where he thinks the enemy might be. These are the little things that Arty can do to help their teammates. They can actually tell them where they can see trees being knocked down, destruction to property, anything like that, which gives a clues to the location of unspotted tanks. You see, tanks can't really have the sort of view that we do in Battle Assistant. They don't have as wide a view. They're looking at ground level at whatever they can see, and they can't see over obstructions and topography. The ground might be raised in front of them, but we can look beyond that to see if there's any destruction being done to say where the enemy is. And it looks like the enemy has made their way up towards their own cap. Although we've got the 88 in the river, the Scorpion is capping, and I suspect the enemy tanks have returned to their own cap, but they're not in sight of the Scorpion yet. Yes, there they are. They are trying to get back to get a reset. The Super Hellcat's turned up. And he does get a reset. But he takes a massive hit from the Scorpion G. But he's got a very long reload. whilst the Super Hellcat doesn't. So he's had to abandon the cap. There's the enemy Arty. It's a FE304, the Burt. Citron's dialing in. Can he get the kill? Rounds out. Long flight time. Direct hit. Wipes him out completely. Unfortunately, we lost the Scorpion G. He crashed. He must have gone over the edge of a cliff and lost all his hit points by killing himself. But it's now 3 versus 2. A Striv 74 with very low hit points and a Bisonte with virtually nothing. They've lost their Striv. This is the last enemy tank. Citron fires around in and yes! Wins the game from all the way over the other side of the battlefield. And he got a last minute platoon as well. So that's the end of the second battle and it's another victory. The third battle is in the M41 HMC, which is the Tier 5 American SPG with 155mm howitzer mounted on top of a Chaffee hull. And he's located on the south spawn of Prokhorovka. And battle's about to commence. Well, this little Arty was first designed in 1942, so it was a mid-war design, and it was supposed to supplement the M12s. He's just getting shot up the rear by this T-34 shielded, who doesn't appear to like Arty. Anyway, it's, as I said, 155mm howitzer. It's capable of 550 alpha, which is the same as the M44. And it'll penetrate 38mm of armour with a 7m burst radius. All those figures are identical to the M44. But unfortunately, the reload time is a little longer. Standard reload is 23.97 seconds, but you can get it down to 22.71, and he's using premium consumables. And I don't know if you noticed, but he's got 3 marks of excellence on the barrel of his howitzer already. So he's really played this one, played his heart out, and he's getting it accurate. Now an enemy tank has appeared near the centre line, and it's a Tiger 1. And there's a KV-1 as well, so he's got a couple of targets he can aim at straight away. And there's a Budgie over the other side of the battlefield as well. Now, well, what can I tell you about the M41 Gorilla? Because that was the name that it was actually given. The M41 Gorilla, they only made 85 of them. Yeah, unfortunately, they were going to get 250 for the US Army to supplement the M12s, but the thing was that the war ended before they started being delivered, so it never saw service in World War II, and all the M41s that were received eventually ended up being used as training vehicles, and they never actually saw service until the Korean War came around, and then they did see service. In fact, there's several notable actions in which the M41 was involved, and the Chinese People's Liberation Army actually managed to capture one of these. In fact, they captured several, and they used them against the Americans. They liked them so much, they thought they were so good that they actually fired them at American personnel. So it was rather ignominious to have your own Arty firing at you. And in fact, there's only 2 M41 HMCs, howitzer motor vehicle, howitzer motor carriage I should say, in the world now. One of them's at Fort Sill, which is the home of the US Army's artillery school, and the other one is in Beijing in one of their museums. It's one of the captured ones. Yep, they actually took it back and put it in their museum, said, look, we captured this one from the Americans. Now,
moving to cover your flank.
Originally, when they came up with the design for a supplemental Arty, like the M41, it was originally going to be based on the hull of the M5 Stuart.
Yes, sir.
And the first one they actually built was called the T64. But it was found that the Chaffee hull was going to be the hull that they were going to use eventually, because the Chaffee tank, the M24, had been approved, and a lot of standardized vehicles were going to be based on the Chaffee hull, and so they decided to switch it over from the T64 to what they called the T64E1, and that was the M41 HMC. Well, it became known as the M41 HMC eventually. Now, the other thing about the M41 is the only person who's actually inside the vehicle is the driver. Everyone else hangs on the back of the vehicle for dear life. In fact, actually, they did have jeeps and trucks to actually carry around the shells. The vehicle itself could carry a number of shells. I think it was about 20 in total. But I'm afraid the majority of the ammunition had to be carried in trucks and jeeps that accompanied with the crew, just as the AMX 13F3AM has to have supplemental vehicles to carry around the crew. In fact, actually, they did sell some of the M41 HMCs that had surplus at the end of the war to the French, or rather, they had them surplus after the Korean War when they took them out of service and replaced them with the M40, M43 combination. So they sold them to the French, but the French later put them out of service when they actually built the AMX 13F3. It's fairly light Arty, actually. It's only 20 tons in total, in fact 19.5 tons in weight, so very light, could be air transportable. And of course it was on the Chaffee hull, which was very reliable hull. The only problem was that because of the short barrel on the 155mm howitzer, it had a reduced range compared to the M12, so it wasn't quite as effective. But as I said, they used them in Korea, and the fact that the Chinese liked it so much and started using them, or rather using the captured ones, just goes to show that they thought it was fairly good as well. In fact, it was a very good counter-battery Arty, because you could fire on the enemy Arty and then quickly scoot and move away. In fact, far quicker to move away than the towed artillery, because up until then most artillery was towed. It had to be towed by trucks, and of course there was a lot of work associated with getting guns bedded into the ground before they could fire. But with the M41 HMC, all you had was a huge big spade at the back which you dug in, and as soon as you were ready to move, you just pulled the spade back out of the ground and off you went very, very quickly. And that meant it was virtually impossible for the enemy to counter-battery you. Well, this game is going rather well for Citron's team, because there's 7 tanks up on the enemy so far. Citron's only managed to get 661 hit points of damage at the moment, and our team are at the other end of the map already. They quickly whizzed through the east side of the map, and now we're looking at enemy tanks on the west side as targets. Rounds out the IS, good hit. Solid hit on his rear for 146, but non-penetrating shot. And we're picking up all the stun assist off that one. Now there's still 3 enemy tanks out there. A Tiger 1 with a rather good player. T-34-100 constructor we're looking at the moment, and he's just died. And an ARL V-39. The Tiger was last seen up near the centre line, but we haven't seen him since, and the Black Prince is already over the centre line. He can't see the Tiger either, so I think he's over in the tree line over on the west side of the map, and the ARL V-39 is probably over there as well. But he's still got that 88mm gun, and the ARL V-39's probably got a 105mm gun as well. So yeah, these guys could be difficult to take down. Our T-34 shielded, the guy who actually shot us at the start of the game, is moving up to try and spot the enemy. And there's the Tiger 1. Still got most of his health. He's got all of his health. Rounds out. Not anymore. Oh no, he just got stunned. He's still got all of his health. They're working together. Yes, that ARL does have the 105mm gun, and the CS44 just found that out. But the ARL just got taken out by our SU-85, which means the last remaining enemy is this Tiger 1, and he's still full health. Citron01 getting ready to shoot, but he's lost sight of the target, so he's not going to fire until he's ready. T-34 shielded, leading the charge towards him. Suddenly stops, because I think, oops, he suddenly realised he doesn't know where the enemy is. Gradually moving up to get destroyed. At least I'm expecting that. After all, he did fire on Arty right at the start of the game, and That's not on. Yeah, nobody wants to actually try and drive in there and find out where the Tiger 1 is because they know they're going to take a round. T-34 shielding moves up, gets fired on. There's the Tiger 1, rounds out. 107 hit points. I think that T-34 shielded is about to go. Yes, he did. Good. That'll teach him for shooting Arty at the start of the game. And our T-3485M gets wiped out. Who's next? The Wizzy? He's very low on hit points. Yes, he's been wiped out. This Tiger 1 is enjoying himself, and Citron puts a round into him. He's down to 137. He's now a splash kill. And now he's only got 1 hit point left. And we're just waiting to complete our reload. And I think Citron will finish this battle off by killing the Tiger 1. Rounds out. Here we go. Oh, it missed. How could he miss at this moment? And the only tanks on that side of the map are now the M6 and the SU-85. And they're fairly low on hit points. The SU-85 dies to the Tiger 1. He's wiping out our team bit by bit, and he's only got a single hit point left. Okay, Citron's going to end this. Here we go. And that's the kill shot that wins the game. Well done to Citron01 in the M41 HMC Gorilla. And here's the end of battle results for the first battle in the SU-122A. And you can see in this battle, he not only got an ace tanker, he got his 3rd mark of excellence in the SU-122A. Well done, Citron01. He also picked up a bruiser medal for getting at least 5 critical hits. He got 15, but he didn't get any other medals in the game. But the 3rd mark, well, once you've got 3 stars on the barrel, you'll never have those taken away. Let's have a look at team score and see where he came. Well, we can see from this he didn't get the highest damage in the game. That actually went to the enemy Arty, the one he killed right at the end of the game with a fantastic shot. 2,341 hit points went to that Fifi, and the next high scorer was Citron01 with 1,960, so he got 2nd place overall, and the 3rd place was the IS with 1,627. When it came to kills, again, it's that Fifi with 4 kills. 3 kills went to Citron01, and then 2 kills, the M44, the LTG, the Jagdpanzer 4, and the enemy Hummel. When it came to base XP, that's Citron01. Yes, he managed to get 1,120, the only player to get over 1,000 base. 840 went to the LTG, 744 went to the 25 TP. He fired 15 rounds of 152mm ammunition, got 6 direct hits on the enemy, no penetrations though, he didn't penetrate that VP at the other end, he just wiped him out by blasting him. 13 splash as well, damage of 1,960 hit points, all of it at more than 300 meters. He damaged 8 in the enemy, killed 3, did 264 hit points of damage assistance, and 880 hit points of stun assist off 8 stuns. On a premium count, he earned 33,318 credits, got 14,993 from battle payments and 23,489 from holiday ops. I think that is holiday ops. And a total of 88,459 credits altogether. After resupply of ammunition and consumables, it took away a profit of 46,309 credits, which is not bad for a tier 5 Arty. 1,120 XP, 1,680 from holiday ops, and took away 3,360 experience points altogether. So his 3rd mark battle in the SU-122A, I highly recommend you actually work your way up this one to get your 3rd mark, because it'll probably be the first one you actually do achieve. If not, if you go after the AMX 13105AM, the tier 5 French SPG, because that's also another one that's fairly easy to mark. Or the Gorilla, but the Gorilla is played by a lot of players, so if you do go up that route, you may have difficulty trying to 3rd mark that one. But the other 2, they're not played so often, so you're much more likely to get your 3rd mark. It's all about what the standard is from other people in order to mark your vehicle. So that's the first game in the set of 3. Let's have a look at the second one. Well, that's the AMX 13F3AM. You may remember that one on Highway. He managed to get an ace tanker in that game. He also got a bruiser medal for getting at least 5 critical hits. He got 21. A gauze medal for doing more damage than 8 times the hit points of his own vehicle. He got a Brothers in Arms. At the last moment, he platooned with one of his teammates who also had 3 kills. And they managed to get a Brothers in Arms between them. And he also got a Confederate for hitting more of the enemy than anyone else in his team. At least 6 tanks subsequently taken out by other teammates. Now you remember during that battle, he hit a Hellcat with one of his rounds. Yes, he did penetrate that one. 640 hit points of damage. The shell went right through him. But he wasn't the only one he penetrated. He also penetrated the Burt, the one he one-shotted over the other side of the battlefield, and he picked up 315 hit points on that guy. If we look at the team score, we can see that he actually did get the highest damage in that game. 2,620 hit points of damage. No high caliber showing, but he did get the gauze medal. Actually, he didn't get the high caliber. What I was saying, I didn't flick the button at the top. the highest damage went to the Scorpion G with 3,016, and yes, he did pick up the high caliber. The second highest damage went to Citron. He got 2,620, and the third highest damage went to the enemy Bisonte with 2,354. When it came to kills, it was Scorpion again with 5 kills, 4 kills to the T-43, 3 kills to Citron01. Nobody on the enemy team managed to get more than 2 kills. And when it came to base XP, it was Citron01 who did the best with 1,282, basically because he was tier 6 Arty in a tier 8 game, and therefore he was earning extra XP for every tier 8 tanks that he picked up or hit. 1,064 XP for the Scorpion and 1,036 for the T-43. So these were the only 3 players who managed to get over 1,000 XP base in total. When he came to shots fired, he fired 15, got 2 direct hits, 2 penetrations. We followed which ones those were. 13 splash. Damage of 2,620 hit points, all of it at more than 300 meters. He damaged 10 of the enemy, that's 2/3 of their team, and killed 3 of them, and did 1,731 hit points of stun assist off 12 stuns. On a free-to-play account on this occasion, he got 45,417 credits, and after resupply of ammunition and consumables, took away only 417 credits in total, I'm afraid. Yes, I'm afraid he was hit by the consumables because he was using premium consumables, and yep, that really did hurt him on the credits, so only a tiny amount of credits earned. But he got 1,282 base XP, unfortunately no multipliers on this occasion, so that's all he took away. But it was a victory, and he said at that moment, I am now on 97.5%. Yes, he's got 3 marks on the barrel, and I can attest to that because he actually sent me a picture of the barrel. There you go, 3 marks on the barrel of his AMX 13F3. And he's now at 97%. Yes, very well done indeed. Let's get back to what we were doing. Okay, now if we go to the last battle, that was the M41 HMC, and that already had 3 marks on the barrel as well. He got an ace tanker in that game, and also got a bruiser medal for getting at least 5 critical hits. He got 9, but no other medals. He said, yeah, he effed up the game to 5k damage. The Tiger with the 3 marks. Yes, that Tiger, he did muck it up at the last moment with the, he didn't hit the guy with his, what he should have been a kill shot when he only had 1 hit point left. And he did lose a few teammates in the meanwhile because that guy with the Tiger was a very good player and he was knocking them out with his 88mm gun very easily indeed. We look at the team score on that one. We can see that the highest damage in the game was actually done by that Tiger. 5,079 hit points. He was very, very good. Bad Trip's his name. Watch out for that one. And the next high score after that was the M6 on his team with 1,481, followed by the Wizzy 131 with 1,460. Citron01 only managed to get 1,348 in that one, which puts him a little way down the table when it comes to damage. In fact, it puts him in 7th place overall. But when it came to kills, he only got the 1, and it was that Tiger 1, the most dangerous of all the enemy tanks in the game. 3 kills went to the M6, but look at that Tiger. He got a Radley Waters in that game. Yep, absolutely stonking game for him. 31 shots fired, 24 direct hits, 23 penetrations, 5,000 hit points of damage, most of it at long range. So he was obviously a very, very good player indeed. So good scalp to take at the end of the game, but he was the one who was doing most of the damage to his team. And only the 1 kill for Citron. But when it came to base XP, he's right at the top of the table with 954, actually just behind the Tiger. His Radleys put him up to 963 base experience points, but Citron01 just came behind him. And remember, he was in a tier 5 Arty, whereas the Tiger one's in a tier 7. So obviously, again, he was hitting higher tier opponents and taking them out. And the only reason he did better than Citron01 was that he managed to get that Radleys and the highest damage in the game. So let's have a look at detail. He fired 14 rounds of 155mm ammo. He got 6 direct hits on the enemy, but no penetrations at all. 12 splash. Damage of 1,348 hit points, all of it at more than 300 meters. He damaged 7 of the enemy, killed 1, did 1,195 hit points of stun assist off 11 stuns. On a free-to-play account, he earned 29,331 credits, but because of resupply of consumables and ammunition, he actually made a loss for the game of 7,739 credits. And he received 954 base XP, and again, there was no multipliers, so I'm afraid, he didn't get any more base XP. He said I apologised to him after the battle. He actually checked out his rating and everything. That was the Tiger 1, I think, that he actually killed. I think the Tiger 1 must have been thinking to himself, who the hell got me? But then he did get taken out by a 3-marked Arty player, and Citron01 has more than one 3-marked Arty. As you've seen in this battle, every Arty that was in this video was 3-marked, or is 3-marked now. And yes, he's a very effective player with these Arties, so keep practicing, and one of these days you're going to come up against Citron01 and yeah, you're going to have to fight it out with him. If he's on your team, it's going to be a great game. If he's not on your team, you're going to have a hard time. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give this video a like. Do subscribe to our channel. Leave us a comment down below because it helps feed the algorithms and up our rating so more people can see this video. And thank you for watching.